If you're somebody who works in the marketing and communications industry or is wishing to be in it, there's a whole lot for you in this episode. So go check it out across platforms. Karishma Connect with Hanisha Lalwani, an award winning B2B and B2C marketing and communications leader with 14 years of experience across a wide range of industries and countries, including India, UAE, North America, and UK. It's an exciting journey, isn't it? When I first heard about it, my almost immediate question was, wow, what kind of diversity have you dealt with? Hanisha told me more about it in this conversation, where she also delved deeper into winning awards. What does it really have in it for you? What kind of validation do you get? Why you should seize the opportunities that come your way? And where she stands today after all these years of experience, what kind of insights she has to offer. She also talks to me about marketing as a function and what kind of value it has for businesses. Go check out the episode. I'm sure you're going to like it. And until the next one, stay tuned. This is Karishma, and I'll be back yet again. Until then, tada.
Thank you so much, Hanisha, for joining me on this episode of Karishma Connect. Like I said, you're on the other side of the 100 and you're one of those who's kept me going. So thank you, firstly, for doing that. Thank you for just agreeing to do this with me. It's a pleasure, and I can't wait to share your story with the listeners.
The pleasure is all mine, Karishma. Thank you so much for having me here. And I'm so glad to be part of the next chapter of Karishma Connect.
First question I ask on this podcast is that tell me about your journey so far, because I truly believe that the person who's been through the journey says their journey best. So I could introduce you with everything, which I will, but you will say your journey best.
So I was born and raised in Nigeria. I did my entire schooling there. Then I did my bachelor's in Pune. I chose to do a business administration because I did not have much exposure back then as to what my options were. I really wanted to study journalism, but I don't think I was as courageous to pursue that. So I went for the safe option, which is business administration.
Yeah.
And one of my subjects was marketing. And all through school, I really enjoyed English. I was the editor of my school magazine. I enjoyed writing. So marketing was that subject during my bachelor's degree that I think I really connected with. It sort of piqued my creative interest.
Yeah.
So I thought, in terms of my master's, this is something that I can further pursue. And I went to University of Melbourne in Australia on a whim. It sounds really funny. My sister, my older sister, said, "Why not go to Australia? Like, this is your opportunity to explore down under." And it really excited me, that thought of exploring a new place, being in a new country. And very naive, I have to say, but I feel like I threw myself in the deep end because I really wasn't braced for all of the challenges that came with being a 20-year-old in another continent so far away. And this is way before WhatsApp calls. My parents were still in Nigeria. So I really felt disconnected with everything I knew during my 2-year master's program. And I feel like while some of the subjects were really interesting, I learned more outside the classroom than I did inside. And one of the things was being self-reliant, learning to stay in, alone when you don't have too many friends.
Yes.
How do you not make life stop for yourself, even if you don't have a companionship? So I think these were some very hard but important lessons that I learned during my master's degree. After Australia, I didn't have anything to tie me back or any incentive to stay back. So I moved to Bombay. Again, very naive as a decision, because it was not anything I was prepared for. I started my career in a PR agency because during my master's, PR was that subject that the journalists, the the journalist in me, the suppressed journalist in me, really connected with.
Yeah.
So I thought the natural thing would be to start my career in PR. And I was in the agency for almost 2 years, supporting the team that worked for Procter and Gamble. So that was a very interesting experience. And doing PR for about 2 years, I realized like I don't want to just be a PR specialist.
Mm.
I want to get exposure to all aspects of marketing because again, that's what I did my master's in. I know the subject is broader than just the PR vertical. And it so happened that I got an opportunity to work with this company called Impresario. They are one of India's leading food and beverage companies. They introduced the Mocha coffee chain, cafe chain in India, very popular cafes. And they then became really popular for some of their fine dining brands.
Mm.
So it was 2 years of working in food and beverage marketing, which was really, really interesting, a very creative job.
Yes.
And everything from community management to
Mm.
event organizing.
Mm.
Like we used to organize some really interesting events like film screenings and eco bazaars
Mm.
um, at the cafes and the restaurants. I remember organizing a 3-day heritage festival in
Mm.
Bandra, which our brand and other partners championed.
Mm.
So it was quite an interesting job.
Mm.
Um, but that also then, made me think, okay, restaurant marketing is great, cafe marketing is great. Hotels seem to be the next sort of graduation for me.
Mm.
Um, and I got an opportunity to then move to Marriott International.
Mm.
And one of the perks of the job were that I would be based out of Pune
Mm.
because Pune was kind of home for me in
Yeah.
India.
Yeah.
And by then, I had done almost 5 years in Bombay, which was driving me a bit insane. That city, it's just,
Great work based.
yeah, it's just intense,
Yes.
intense in terms of weather, population. Like there's a lot of external stimuli all the time in that city. So I worked with Marriott International in Pune. I started with one property and then
Mm.
eventually took on two properties, and then finally there was a third one as well.
Mm.
And I did about 3 years in Pune, and it life happens sometimes where things you didn't see coming your way happen. So one of my properties that I had been working for right from the start got deflagged, which meant that the brand of that would the brand would change.
Mm.
So it would no longer be a married property. And at that point, I had to take a decision whether I want to continue working for that same hotel but a different brand,
Mm.
or Marriott would support you to possibly move to other hotels. And at this point, I had already made multiple visits to Dubai. I had a lot of friends there.
Mm.
And because I was not born and raised in India,
Mm.
um, I always knew that there was a world beyond.
Yeah.
And I was very conscious and deliberate about wanting an international career.
Mm.
I knew that I'm not a one city, one industry kind of a marketer.
Mm.
Because I like variety, I like the challenge. I am a forever student. So this is when I managed to, earn a job at Marriott International in Dubai. So I
Mm.
was part of a shared services team that were supporting 14 Marriott properties across Dubai and Abu Dhabi.
Okay.
And I have to say, those 2 years I consider them as some of my best in my career so far, because I got to do some very interesting campaigns, lead on campaigns. And it was also during this time that I won MEPRA's Dave Robinson Young Communicator of the Year award. And I won highly commended for integrated campaign by PRC and MENA.
Mm.
And two of my other campaigns were also shortlisted at that point.
Yeah.
So it was quite a career high for me.
Yeah.
Um, and I felt on top of my game. And then again, life happens.
Yeah.
So at that point, I don't think the hospitality industry in 2018 was doing too well.
Mm.
And our team was made redundant as part of a cost cutting initiative.
Mm.
Uh, and here I was, I won an award. And I even won the Marketing Society highly commended Young Leader of the Year,
Mm. Mm.
the UK chapter. So my work in Dubai even earned me that recognition on that international platform.
Yeah.
Um, so it was just a fantastic feeling of validation. But back home in Dubai, I knew that my job was coming to an end.
Mm.
And again, a very interesting early stage learning that this is kind of life. This is kind of the reality of the economy we live in. You could be on top of your game, but there are other certain things that happen that you can't control. There's so many variables in
Yeah.
your career, in your life that you just cannot control.
Yeah.
So I found myself again out of a job, and out of the blue, uh, Michael Page came
Mm.
knocking at my door, and I didn't even know what Michael Page was. I didn't know. I knew I saw their logos. I had seen their logo, but I just didn't know what they did. And once I learned through my interview processes that this is going to be a recruitment marketing job, so you are marketing a recruitment agency. When they told me I got the job, I didn't have a smile on my face because I didn't understand the industry. I was entering really uncharted territory for me.
Mm.
And I was coming from, essentially B2C marketing,
Yes.
really fun, creative. The hospitality industry is very
Yeah.
fun and creative. So I thought, what is it that I can do here?
Mm.
It just wasn't making connecting in my head.
Mm.
But again, I didn't have a job, so I, of course, accepted this. I think I went through about 6 to 7 rounds of interviews, so it came after a lot of work in a matter of 3 days, so it was quite intense.
Mm.
And I worked there for about 4.5 years. So clearly, I enjoyed it. Clearly,
Yeah.
I learned things about it. And I was their Middle East and Africa marketing lead. So to have that MEA regional exposure was also something that was new for me.
Mm.
And I have to say, Karishma, this was something I found really interesting about the job is working for the African market because I connect so much to Africa. I was born and raised in Nigeria. I lived there for 15 years.
Mm.
So it was never, when it says marketing manager, Middle East and Africa,
Mm.
the end Africa was not just an add-on. It was something I really gave my heart and
Yeah.
my soul to in terms of work. I really cared about it because a lot of times I see we just focus on the bigger markets
Yes.
and then the smaller markets tend to get ignored. So I made sure that that never happened because I connected so much with that continent. Um, Having done 4.5 years in that role, I really I feel so proud of what I accomplished in that role because I proved marketing to be a more strategic function
Mm.
that can bring in revenue to the business.
Mm.
We're not just uh, presentation creators, we are not just event organizers.
Very
We
true.
are all of that and
Mm.
so much more.
Yeah.
Um, and it really gave me a thrill each day to go on that job and shape that role to how I envisioned it to adding value to the business.
Yeah.
And I really think I was successful in convincing my stakeholders that this is what marketing is, what the power of marketing is, and it, I think it's about how can you derive the best return on investment when you hire a marketing person.
Yeah.
So there has to be an education, even internally, as to how do you use your marketing resource.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I think I was quite successful. I mean, it's an assignment I consider something I'm very proud of because
Mm.
I really switched things around there. Um, it also then made me realize that I want to have experience within the organization at the mothership. We are a British company.
Mm.
So I was in Dubai, a one-man show, one woman marketing department. Um, so I wanted to also go back into that working in a team sort of
Mm.
experience. I wanted to leverage the expertise of our different channel experts. And this way, learn as well, continue to stay on top of the game across different verticals in marketing. So the company was very kind enough to relocate me to London,
Mm.
um, with an interesting challenge of setting up the B2B marketing programs for the North American market.
Wow.
So I was in, so to speak, a completely 100% remote role. And that presented its own challenge of how do you stay visible? How do you establish your credibility
Yeah.
remotely as
Yeah.
a marketing resource?
Yeah.
Um, and I have to say, um, mm, I'm again very proud of how I was able to establish my credibility with the North American business,
Mm.
because I worked across time zones, worked
Mm.
across cultures,
Mm.
um, and it comes with a lot of unlearning
Mm.
and starting from an empty canvas.
Mm.
And for me, because now I've stayed in so many countries, I've had to really do that multiple times of unlearning, starting from zero, and building from scratch. And then really looking back with a lot of pride as to how far I've come. Um, so here I am in London talking to you about my journey so far. I also have to say, Karishma, that when I look at marketing, I don't just look at it from a job perspective.
Yeah.
I have learned to become quite passionate about it because I think you can be good on the job
Mm.
if you constantly stay hungry and stay inquisitive about the field you are in.
Mm.
So when I was in Dubai, I used to write for Campaign Middle East.
Mm.
I used to love attending all of these conferences like the Dubai Links,
Mm.
Festival of Creativity. Um, I have a blog of my own, so I write about my various experiences. It's got a million plus views so far.
Okay.
I love traveling. When I was in Pune, I did a diploma in creative writing in English. Um, I also used to be a guest lecturer at the Middlesex University. So I have advised students or soon to graduate students on their CVs, on their career choices. I have been mentor to students at the University of Melbourne.
Mm.
Um, so I've always been this passionate person that does things over and beyond my job. Um, Currently at my company, I'm also serving as the shadow executive board member.
Mm.
So that's again giving me a lot of exposure into what does the C-suite of a company talk about, how they have to make difficult decisions, what are the building blocks towards 2030 strategy, for example. So I'm in my second year now of serving on that shadow executive board, and I am the only representative of the marketing function in a
Mm.
company of thousands of employees. So I think this is also something that has kept me going and kept me engaged, is doing things outside of your job.
True, true. And that's why my next question, because I believe there are so many uh, petals, as I would like to call it, from that flower of a journey that you've had to unfold. But I think my first question out of that is, being a 20 something year old on this journey and moving so many places, one, I'm sure it comes with its own perks and then it also has its perils, right? Tell me something about that.
I think I'll start with the perks. The perks are that, having lived in 5 countries, I have really occupied different spaces in the world. I have actually lived experiences now.
Mm,
Um, and I don't know things just from hearsay. I have lived those experiences.
mm, mm,
I have adapted to different circumstances. Um, and I look at each move as adding a new chapter
yeah,
in the book of my life.
yeah,
It may sound cheesy, but this is really how I look at each move of mine.
yes, for sure, yeah.
Um, and because I am always curious and I have a learning mindset, please, let's make no mistake that these opportunities have landed in my lap. No,
Yeah. In fact, that was going to be my next question to you, that
I have
what
had to
made you get
really,
that? Yeah.
I have had to really be bold,
Mm,
be confident,
mm,
be prepared to pitch for some of these opportunities,
mm,
to also do the homework of understanding, why do I want this opportunity
mm,
to move to a new country? Why did I want that job in Dubai? Um, why did I want to relocate to London within my organization? They have not, these opportunities have not just come my way. So I really want to make that clear. Um, Also, Karishma, because I have such varied experiences,
mm,
when I introduce myself at events or within networking forums or even on a group meeting in calls, I naturally pique the interest of people.
mm.
You know, the number of people I have connected with just by saying I'm born and raised in Nigeria,
Yeah.
it, it's a lot of people who find that a very interesting aspect of my introduction. So I look at it with pride that I have a very different story. I don't have a linear career.
Mm,
Um, it's diagonal, it's lateral, it's down, it's up. It's when I moved from Pune to Dubai, I moved at I was manager. I just got my manager promotion, but I moved to Dubai at an assistant manager. For many people, this may not be a logical decision, but I always try to have big picture thinking. I always value the experience over the standard job titles, or for me also, not all decisions are money motivated, so I think I'm playing a long game, and that is what has made me want to live in different places.
mm,
Those are the perks. Um, Before I talk about the perils, so to speak, I do also have to say that this way I have built a global network
mm,
and I have left my footprint behind
mm.
these places in the
Yeah.
form of friends and in the form of um, the legacy of my work, the positive impact of my work. Let's talk about the perils now. Moving countries, moving cities, also moving just takes a toll.
Yes. Very true.
And this toll comes in many shapes and sizes, many forms. It entails a lot of physical and mental work. There's so much admin to be done when you're wrapping up from a country and setting up in a new place. You can sort of suffer from a financial perspective. You suffer from a personal perspective completely. Like, I have missed out on so many interesting life events of my friends because I'm no longer living in those cities.
Mm.
I proactively take the efforts and the steps to maintain that relation with my friends.
Mm.
You don't have the sense of feeling personally stable
Mm.
or feeling rooted to a particular place.
Yeah.
And I would not undermine the importance of that feeling of being rooted to a place,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
that stability helps you navigate the challenges that come at work or in life a lot better. And this has been my observation and learning after having moved so much.
Mm.
So those are the perils.
I agree, and that's because I've closely noticed this in my own journey as well. When you do move, it's almost, I think, like you said, physical. And I also want to check. I also want to bring up the point here. It's easier when you're moving for the first time for your masters,
Yeah.
and then you come back, and then you again go. I think that again going is even harder because,
Yes.
as far as I've observed, because if somebody tells me to move now, I have 10 things to think about, or it
Exactly.
takes a lot more for you to kind of think after the masters, okay, now I'm going to move. And I think that's where it's even more challenging because then you're in the phase where you're navigating so many other things in life.
The stakes just get higher, right?
Yeah,
So you
exactly.
really have to weigh, um, why do you want to go? And again, an important caveat to add here is I know very well that any decision I make has a 50% chance of working and 50% chance of not working.
Yes.
That's just life. So at least I know I tried. For
Yeah.
me, I don't like regrets. I know the journey may be really, really tough, um, but at least I know I tried it, and it makes me a better person. Seriously, like having exposure to different, cultures, seeing different ways of life, you do end up becoming a better person, I think.
Absolutely. Agreed. Agreed. And that brings me to my next question, which is what do you think is the difference between knowing and experiencing, especially when it comes to developing any sort of expertise?
Um, I think the combination of knowledge plus experience is the sweet spot.
Mm.
Okay, so you may know marketing principles,
Mm.
but if you do not have not applied them on the
Mm.
job,
Mm.
what's that knowledge
All
worth,
about. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You cannot say you fully know the subject unless you have done it yourself.
Mm.
Um, Today, it's easy for me to write a social media post so quickly, but it has come after years of doing it regularly. That speed, that efficiency comes after doing the job. So I would say that the sweet spot is knowing something and then also applying it, in your life or on the job. From a more life perspective, because I've moved countries, I'm going to give an example. Um, I knew that moving to London, the weather's going to be really tough and it's going to be, winters are harsh. I knew all of this.
Mm.
But experiencing it
Mm.
is a whole other ball game,
Yeah.
right?
True.
You are living the days when it gets dark at 3:30 in the afternoon. You are living the days when you are shivering, it's so cold, and you have to go to the office, for example. So that's an example from a personal point of
Yeah.
view as to the difference between knowing something but actually living through it. So I think I've when you're a marketer, you'll also have experienced this, Karishma, in your job, that any Tom, Dick, and Harry comes and tells you, "Oh, marketing should do this and marketing should do that, and we should start an Instagram account." And but it doesn't work like that.
Yes.
You
Absolutely.
know,
Yeah.
it only you as a marketer who has done the job understands the ABCs of doing something,
Yeah.
and also the strategy behind why we want to do something or why we should not do something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or if an ambitious idea is thrown at us,
Mm.
only we know the practicalities of making that happen, the costs that could possibly entail, the amount of legwork that requires to get that one idea into reality.
Yeah. True.
So so I do think that if you are someone who hasn't studied marketing,
Mm.
but you are interested in a marketing job,
Mm.
definitely find ways to have certifications,
Mm.
find shorter courses that you can do, because you really need to understand the basic principles in
Mm.
order to do the job well. I really think so. Your foundations have to be really, really strong.
Yeah.
At the same time, if you just get into the job you get into a marketing job and you don't know the subject, I have seen people turn that job into something else.
Mm.
It's no longer a marketing job.
Yeah.
You are not adding real value to the organization. You have misrepresented the function to the business.
Mm.
So I think I'm saying this for the third time. Yes, knowledge plus experience is the best thing ever. We do a disservice to our function is we get into jargons.
Yeah.
We are perceived as marketing is all fluff.
Yeah.
And my mission every day is to break that notion that we're all about fluff and jargon. No, I want to know, where is our business headed? What are the business priorities? Um, what are the sales targets? How What is it that our customers want? Which customers is sales connecting with?
Yes.
What are our customers' challenges? And then how can marketing help shape that value proposition so that sales can pitch more effectively and win business more effectively?
Yeah.
So I think we really need to be very, very close to the leadership, very, very close to the sales teams and the operations teams in any business, to really connect with them and understand what are their challenges, what do our customers want. And then it's easier for us to say, okay, so this is what we need to prioritize in marketing. This is how we can add value.
Yeah. And do you
Because we
think
should
that?
no longer be looked at as a cost function.
Yes. Very true. Do you think that's what makes a good marketer today? What do you think makes a good marketer?
I think many things make a good marketer. Uh,
Mm.
Increasingly in today's times where the economies are challenging, where resources are far and few between, it
Mm.
is very important to be a commercially minded marketer, right?
Mm.
How well do you understand the business? How
Yeah.
well do you understand our customers? How What is going on the shop floor? What is the buying cycle of your customers? You
Mm.
really need to understand the language of your business and
Mm.
speak that same language.
Mm.
Um, so being commercially minded is number one in today's times. Be ready to work very hard in marketing because it's not a glamorous function. It's not. You've really got to be that foot soldier to really get things done. Roll up your sleeves, get things done. And whether you're in your first year of your marketing career or like me in the 14th year of my marketing career, I still have to roll up my sleeves, and there is no ego involved in it at all.
Yeah.
It's about just having that getting the job done mindset, right?
Mm. Mm.
I when for example, if I am working in an organization and for whatever reason we've not had a good quarter, I take that very seriously as a marketer.
Yeah.
It is my role. It's not just the leader's role and the sales team's role to see how they can figure out and get that money. It is also my job as a marketing function,
Very true. Very true.
right?
Yeah.
So you know when I say you've got to really work hard, um It's because people think that marketing is easy. I'm sorry, get into CRM and see how scientific it is. Open a marketing dashboard and see the number of metrics we are exposed to, and
Yeah.
look at the data analysis we've got to do,
Yeah.
and look at the trends we've got to identify. When it comes to social media, it's not just as simple as publishing a post. No, there has to be thought, there has to be quality writing. You've got to be everything: photographer, videographer, you've got to be editor, producer, you've got to be a script writer. I have done all of these roles in my career. I have produced a video, I have produced a short film, I have written scripts, I have purchased props, I have created the set, I have, really, I have built Pardot forms, I have sent emails. Like, be ready to really work hard, okay, as a marketer. And the other thing is, have a learning mindset. If in this profession you are not constantly evolving your knowledge,
Yeah.
you will really be left behind, because things are changing so quickly with technology.
Yeah.
Be in the know. Make it your
Mm.
business to be in the know as a marketer,
Very true.
right?
Yeah. You have to.
One thing I also have to say is that, and this is just a personal opinion. I could be wrong, but
Yeah.
this is my opinion.
Hmm.
I have seen too many companies or too many marketers being very competitor obsessed.
Mm. Yes.
And yes, it's important to know what they're doing. It's important to be curious about what they're doing. Where are they winning? Let's go after that share of the business that they're getting, right? But we should not be competitor obsessed, I feel, because
I
then
agree.
we pigeonhole ourselves. We will never be spurred into thinking creatively or out of the box,
Yeah. Very true.
because we will end up copying what's been done
Yeah.
by the competitor within the industry. I really like to, as a marketer, look outside my industry. If I'm currently working in the recruitment industry, I am constantly looking at what people are doing in FMCG, what are people doing
Yeah.
in the banking sector, like how are marketers doing their jobs in these
Yeah.
other industries,
Yeah.
and learning from that and seeing, oh, okay, this is an interesting idea. How could I adapt it to
Yes.
be fit for purpose for the recruitment industry? I think
Yes.
this is how we will push the boundary. The other thing I also want to say is that to be a good marketer today, you have to really be a good influencer within your organization.
Mm.
You have to build that trust, that credibility, and that comes only with hard work. Okay.
Mm.
To then confidently pitch for that budget,
Mm.
or to pitch for, or to advocate for why your time should be spent on this and not this.
Yeah.
You really have to be that person in marketing where the buck stops in terms of subject matter expertise.
Yeah.
People within the organization should know that Hanisha is a subject matter expertise when it comes to marketing. So being that internal influencer is very important, because also, for example, the success of your marketing campaigns rely a lot on how sales has accepted it and is adopting your marketing campaigns as part of their pitch to customers,
Very true.
right? So unless they don't look at you as a subject matter expert, any work that comes from you is not going to be absorbed
Yeah.
convincingly.
Yeah.
So being an internal influencer, very important.
Very true.
I think my last point of being a good marketer is, don't be sidetracked. There will be lots of distractions, and we spoke about this earlier. People will come with dime a dozen ideas. With experience, with hard work, learn to be more confident, more courageous to say no. And also, of course, explaining why no, and then
Mm,
what's your solution,
mm, mm.
right? So it's
Yeah.
not just saying, no, I'm not going to start an Instagram channel.
No.
What is the objective of the Instagram channel? Are the customers we want to reach on that channel? Do I have the resources to run that channel?
Yeah.
Instead, we're doing this. Let's continue to leverage this particular channel more and more
Yeah.
effectively,
Yeah.
right? So we marketers should become stronger, more confident to say yes or no to ideas and really have a spine to back our opinion. Otherwise,
But
we will be sidetracked.
But I think that's also got to do a lot with the preparation that you do, because to be able to say it with conviction is, I think that it requires a lot of background work on actually, like you said, the art of knowing and experience together. That's what I think
Exactly.
needs to happen for you to be able to say it with that conviction that no, I know this is not going to work, and
Correct.
I'm telling you this is not. I'm being honest here. I think to
And
be
it
honest itself in this industry takes a while before you actually get there. Sure.
absolutely, absolutely. And it takes a lot of courage.
Yeah.
You know that there is something at stake if you are going in with a strong opinion on something. But that's where experience comes, and that's where, like you said, preparation is key. Like, go in prepared with your points.
Mm. And then tell me this generalist versus specialist debate, right? What do you have to say about that based on your experience in the field?
So, in terms of um, like a marketing job, like, should which one's better?
Yeah. Yeah.
I would say that I get asked this question a lot,
Mm.
especially by people who have been in their marketing careers just for 1 or 2 years.
Mm. The
I've
early
seen a lot
stage.
of confusion there. Yeah, early stage marketers, right?
Yeah.
Um, I started off my career in a PR agency,
Mm.
but because I had a marketing degree, I knew there was so much more to
Mm.
the field. And
Mm.
so I knew I did not want to box myself in one vertical.
Mm.
So it's very clear that I want to be that big picture thinker. I
Mm.
want to have visibility across different channels. And I myself want to have the expertise on the job experience of social media, PR, writing across the gamut. And that made me pursue a more generalist track.
Mm.
A specialist is for someone who really knows what they're interested in, right? Like, I have met some really hardcore PR professionals. They're meant and made for that job.
Mm.
Um, and if I tell people, like, if you're confused, try different things.
Yeah.
So,
I
for
feel that too.
example, yeah. So, for
I feel
example, if you still haven't, entered a full-time career, um, before getting a full-time job, do internships. Like,
yes.
whether it's for 6 months, do an internship in a
Absolutely.
PR agency,
For a
see what
reason.
that's like.
Yeah.
If you like it, amazing. But
Yeah.
then if you don't, do another internship, try. And if none of these verticals are for you, get into that generalist sort of role. But also, why the generalist role works for me is because I like variety.
Mm.
I like my day to day to be so dynamic.
Mm.
So I could never see myself as a CRM expert, like
Mm.
as a CRM manager. I could never see myself. Yes, CRM is part of my overall, go to market strategy. I love that. It's
Mm.
an element of my big engine,
Yeah.
but it's not the only area of my focus, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So
True.
if you are happy with being, pursuing that depth of knowledge in one vertical, if you are happy with that world,
Mm.
great for you. But
Mm.
for me, a generalist role works because I really like variety.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I when I get asked this question, I share from experience.
Mm. Mm. How can marketers add value to their business? I'm sure you've answered part of this question already, but I'd like you to just sum it up for me. That how do you think marketers of today can add value to the business side of things?
So I have spoken about this, and it is about being curious. Okay, that's the bedrock of it.
Mm,
When you join an organization,
mm,
speak to people from different departments, understand their challenges,
mm,
listen a lot, um, literally study your website.
mm,
You know, as a customer, see what that journey is like. Call the landline that's listed on your website and see what that process is like. How many rings does it take for your customer for your customer to be heard?
mm,
Do this kind of research. I've sat on many sales calls to understand the conversations happening with our customers. So I think doing these kinds of exercises is very important. Also, collaborate with your peers
mm,
in other regions.
mm,
See what they are doing, what is working, what is not working,
mm.
because we don't always have to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah,
Okay,
right. Yeah.
so keep constantly staying curious, keep speaking to people, um, really understand who your customers are. I keep saying this, like, because everything stems from that. Your value proposition stems from that. The kind of content you create, in terms of articles, webinars, social media posts, they all stem from understanding the pain points of your customers,
Yeah,
right? So look at
absolutely.
your content strategy should be should sit on how are we solving our customers' pain points.
Yeah.
So all of your tactics, whether it is how you present yourself on the website, the language you used, the kind of assets you create, the kind of tactics you're doing, it should all come from that knowledge of your customers.
Mm,
Um, I think constantly being visible as a
mm.
marketer, and not just someone in the corner of the office,
Yeah,
not just someone who pops in once every other month on in the office. Don't be that person in the background.
yeah,
Put yourself up front and center, and showcase the efforts you've made
yeah,
to support the business.
yeah.
Try and align your work to the metrics that they are holding themselves to.
Mm, mm,
Okay, so aligning of the metrics. um Also, I think, how do you demonstrate value to the business, right? As a marketer, doing the job is one thing, communicating what you've done is another. Make sure you're doing both, and I really think it's a 50-50% split.
mm,
Very often we're like, oh, they can see I'm busy,
mm,
that should say enough.
mm,
No, no, no.
mm,
Make sure you are consistently, not once in a blue moon, once randomly you're sending an update of what you're doing. Consistently share how you have been working and how do your tactics translate into value for the business.
mm. Very important point.
So visibility is really important.
Yeah.
In my previous job, I really advocated for marketing to have a platform to share
Mm,
our updates in the monthly town hall.
mm.
It's not just what sales has done, but this is also what I have done. And unless you don't pitch for yourself or advocate for yourself,
Yeah.
don't always expect the doors to be open for you.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Very true. Very true. Right there. And what do you think is the importance of mentors in this journey?
Mentors are important.
Mm,
I don't take a typical view of mentors as is widely known. So, for example, a mentor has to be this one senior person who you meet regularly, talk to, share share your sorrows and joys. I don't take that view of it. A
Yeah.
mentor could be someone that I even remotely admire and follow. Um, my mentor is they're my parents. I really apply their experiences in life to my job. I have that ability to make the connection. um so I think mentors are really important because it's no point you feeling isolated in the journey. It's no point feeling trying to solve all your problems by yourself.
Mm.
Sometimes just talking about it from someone who's been there, done that really helps.
Yeah.
you know and even if they may not always offer you solutions,
Mm.
there is so much comfort in knowing that you are not alone in this experience.
Mm.
Others have gone through this journey as
Yeah.
well.
Yes.
It's not just hard for you. So
Absolutely.
in that sense, mentors are very important. And I think I realized only in my mid career, like in like 8 years in, that I should also go that route. And I feel very strongly about mentoring students
Mm.
because I was once a very lost student.
Mm.
So that my own experience of not having a mentor makes me a better mentor to students today.
Yes. Yes.
On a lighter note, sometimes if I feel very stressed, say
Yeah.
at work,
Yeah.
I will watch an interview of a Bollywood celebrity,
Yeah.
and I do end up learning a lot from some of them because we treat them with such levity,
Yeah.
but they live very intense lives.
Yeah. Yeah.
They are dealing with successes and failures on a whole other decibel level.
Yes.
So
Absolutely.
they have emotional highs and emotional lows. So how do they navigate that? What can I learn from that interview?
Yeah.
I'm even able to connect the dots. And for me, I find it a way to bust my stress, but also I learn a thing or two from those interviews. So I would recommend that to others as well.
A similar thing with awards, right? People think they help. People think people have a bubble around them. And people think that, oh, I've won an award and it's a short thing. And the next thing I'm going to get is like extreme recognition and respect. What do you have to say about it? Having won so many by yourself and being nominated for so many. What's the picture around it?
Um, I I think it it's different for different people.
Mm.
So when I won the MEPRA award in 2017, it came after 8 or 9 years of being a marketing practitioner
Mm.
and 8, 9 years of just hard work,
Mm.
a lot of struggle, a lot of really, yeah, I mean, a lot of hard work. So when I got that award, it was such validation for me.
Mm.
Like for me personally,
Mm.
it it instilled a sense of conviction and
Mm.
confidence that
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah.
um and and for once, not just I know I'm good, but the 10 judges that interviewed me in that conference room also think I'm good.
Mm.
So that confidence was so needed for me at that point of time,
Yeah.
because deep down somewhere I knew that I was really good.
Mm.
And you get this kind of stamp.
Yes. True. You get that value add to
it
what
it
you've
is a value add, and it has come from the Middle East PR Association,
done. Mm.
which is amazing. Like, I have seen, well, did it open other opportunities for me in terms of, did I get people knocking on my door with new job offers. No,
Mm.
it has for other people. I know that.
Mm.
And that's great. You don't know what an award can do to you until you get it. And also, how are you leveraging it?
Mm. Mm.
Right? It's very much on you as well. So for me, it was just validation that I really needed at that point of time. I also think, who is giving that award? Who is judging?
Mm.
What is their credibility? That's
Mm.
really important,
Mm.
because there are so many awards today in the industry. A lot of them you've got to pay for. Um, Also, who are your competitors within that shortlist?
Yes.
Like all of these things can really attribute value to the award you're getting.
Very true.
So for me, with my MEPRA award, they all sort of aligned, and it felt very special.
Mm.
Um, I also think that, yes, awards are important because it shows you where you kind of stand. Like, I'm talking from a campaign perspective.
Yeah.
Like, I, for my some of my campaigns to be in the finalist or to win highly commended, I felt really proud of it because it demonstrated to me the technical side of it. Like,
Yeah.
how technically good am I at the subject,
Yeah.
when my campaign was nominated. So it kind of gave me that technical stamp as well.
Yeah. I think also having been through the nomination journey, not necessarily winning part of it, but the nomination journey, I think what I personally felt was it allows to reflect upon what you have done, and
Yeah.
whether or not you end up winning it, it almost takes you through that journey of having building on conviction. Whether or
Yes.
you, even if you're not a winner, I think the experience and how much you invested you are in it is a big part of it. If you're
Correct.
invested and if you're, uh, you know, going ahead, no matter what the outcome is, and you're putting in that effort, then I think it really kind of challenges you to look back at your journey and be it take the positives or the cons and really make the most out of it. I think that's been
So
my personal
true.
experience out of it, and
So
that's why I
true.
feel like it's very important to take these opportunities while you get them, whether or
So
not
true.
you go up that stage or not.
Absolutely. When I was with Marriott, my, when you're at the campaign planning stage,
Yeah.
my campaign plan ended with submit for award nomination,
Hmm.
because that makes me want to do a great job right from the start.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going with that intention that I really want to do a good job of this piece of work.
Yeah. It's absolutely. There's a very brilliant insight there, and something that very few people actually, I have seen very few people make that part of their planning. But young aspirants who look to enter the industry often get bogged down, I've seen, from their immediate leader, say for example, is creating issues or this. Now you're somebody who, from the journey that I have heard so far, has kind of built has built her way through these situations that I'm sure even you would have come across in your journey. What is your advice to some of these aspirants about sustaining and kind of making the situation work for themselves, especially when it's your immediate manager?
So I think, Karishma, that's a really important question, because there is that common saying that you don't leave a company, you leave your manager.
Very true.
Your manager has a very important role to play as to how you feel at your workplace every single day.
Yeah.
Um, Firstly, I would advise, you know, when you're going through a really difficult situation, just breathe, pause,
Mm.
digest, um, and have a lot of patience.
Mm.
Have a lot of patience.
Mm.
Don't think about quitting. That's never the solution. Like, it could be a solution, but keep that as your very last resort. Um,
Mm.
I also think, and this I have learned as years have gone by is to give them the benefit of doubt. Try and see where they are coming from. Just try, okay? At least then you've done that.
Yeah.
Try and understand what are their challenges, what are their pressures, what sort of pressures are they dealing with, right? So this makes you a bit more empathetic to
Yes.
them and yourself.
Yes.
And then never give them the opportunity to question your work.
Very important.
Be very good at your job. Try to be really good at your job. Always go unprepared. Right? And I think I want to repeat this is about having patience. I have been in situations, Karishma, where professionally sometimes it just seems so hopeless. Multiple times throughout my career, I have seen like, how will this ever get better? How will I get myself out of the situation? Will things change? And I can tell you from multiple experiences that things have changed for the better. You wouldn't even have seen it coming, and suddenly your problem that overtook your mind space for days and days and weeks and months on end has suddenly just vanished like this. So having patience and focusing on your job is all you can do in that moment. And if you have another alternative, safe, better option, for sure, quit. But until then, the best way to deal with it is to be calm, have patience, pick up things that would help you become a better manager tomorrow from your own experience, and do your job really well.
It's fantastic, isn't it? How so many of these lessons are often even life related and so life enhancing itself, I think.
Yes, I sound very philosophical today. because seriously, like life and work are so integrated in today's environment. It's not one without the other.
Absolutely. Now, connection is one of the shared love on this podcast, and I want to ask you, what's your approach to it? What do you think is so important about connecting with people? How have you managed to navigate that over the years?
Yeah, I've spoken about the importance of mentorship, making those connections. I think the other thing I also feel very strongly about is allyship at the workplace. Who are your workplace allies? Do they believe in your journey? Do they believe in your work? Can you have, confidential, open conversations with them when you cannot figure out things on your own? Someone within your organization who you consider as a peer, they may be from another department, from another function completely, but they know your context. So I think having that sense of allyship at the workplace is very important. And I do have that. Like, I have women my age, my gender, nationality, who can really be empathetic to my situation and also me to theirs. I think it's really important because it just makes the journey a bit easier.
Yes.
There is so much comfort in that. You can bounce off ideas, take their opinions, make them your devil's advocate, have them challenge you. And you can't do that with a friend who does not have context of your work environment.
Very true.
You need allies at the workplace who understand your journey and who can relate.
Yeah, very true.
And I have also spoken already about, mentoring young students, young graduates, young professionals. I got to do that when I was the VP of the MEPRA Youth Board. That was a very, very fulfilling experience for 2 years. Currently in the shadow board of my organizations, I get to be a part of 12 of us who
Mm,
are all based in different offices of the world,
mm,
different departments of the world. So, it's very interesting the things you can learn. And this way, you are really expanding your global network.
mm.
As someone also who's moved so many countries, I take keeping in touch with my friends very seriously.
Yeah,
Like, it's not something I take for granted.
yeah,
Um, because there's no joy like speaking to a friend who knows you from way back, who
right.
knows the journey. That connection is so valuable.
Yeah,
And I've said this before, there is no ego in picking up the phone first or dropping that message first.
yes,
So
absolutely.
I really value this concept of connections. And I mean, look at us, right? I
Yeah,
didn't know you back in Dubai, but here we are speaking because there are so many common elements
yeah.
to our career and life. And I've just really enjoyed speaking to you and,
Thank you.
exchanging notes, hearing your challenges, your wins, and sharing mine. So I think like we should always open ourselves up to meeting new people, connecting with new people. Um, yeah, I'm all for it.
Thank you so much, Anisha. I feel like it's been a conversation packed with so many insights. And as I would like to believe it, it's not just for marketers. I think it's for everybody who is a professional or even from a personal perspective. Thank you so much for allowing me to dig out all these insights and to be for being so giving when it comes to sharing those. It's not easy. It comes from a lot of hard work that you rightfully said has gone over the years, and I respect you for it. Thank you so much once again from the bottom of my heart for joining me on Karishma Connect. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much. I think I have benefited from this conversation as much as you or your listeners would. So thank you for giving me the platform and the opportunity, and congratulations on a century in terms of your episodes. And I wish you the best of luck with your future episodes and your career and your life.
Thank you so much. It's an absolute honor. Thank you.